UFC 319 Chimaev versus Plessis is almost here. It is a Thursday morning on the Money Manziel MMA YouTube channel, and I'm excited to bring you guys my full fight card predictions. You know how this goes. I'm going to start with the main event because I know that's what you guys want to see first, and we're going to move back from there. So let's not waste any time, man. DDP, the middleweight champion, is taking on the challenger Khamzat Chimaev. Obviously, one of the biggest prospects and scariest guys in the sport to this day. He's coming off the submission win over Robert Whitaker after that long layoff. DDP is coming off a little bit of a shorter turnaround in February, but still a decent time off where he beat Sean Strickland, in my opinion, 50-45. It's a crazy fight. These guys have finished almost all of their wins combined, I think, in 37 wins. They have finished a combined 32 of them. So, pretty good odds on this being a finish somewhere, and I think a lot of people see it playing out that way. I'm going to stay on the Khamzat side. I know on Tuesday I picked DDP because he was built for my criteria, but listen, the issue with Khamzat to me is that DDP does fight stupid a lot of the time. Like, he is so dumb it works, but he also does still fight dumb. I just can never forget the full mount pulling versus Brad Tavares. And if you're getting a guy shooting on you, DDP is going to get taken down. Khamzat Chimaev, there's no one that's going to completely stuff Khamzat from taking them down or taking their back. It is a survivability thing. Gilbert Burns is world class in jiu-jitsu. Very hard to submit that guy. There's a reason Sean Brady couldn't do it and couldn't keep him down. So that was a different type of test. Usman was in a body triangle for the entirety of their round. Khamzat is going to have the back of DDP. It is whether or not DDP gets submitted or not, or ground and pounded. And I think a lot of people are not talking about the fact that Khamzat could TKO DDP on the ground. I think Khamzat will realize early in the round that, hey, this guy's pretty legit. We see the videos of him submitting whole Gracie Barra gyms. So I think Khamzat might TKO him on the ground. He's got nasty ground and pound, nasty elbows. I could see him utilizing some 12-6 action here. Joe Rogan probably glazing. But I think Khamzat wins this fight, bro. Now, I will say he does not have the Uber driver look this time, but dude, at 308, I don't know why no one talked about this. He looked like the friendliest Uber driver you've ever seen in your life. Like, this guy's, my brother. Do you want the water? We have water back here. We have charger. Whatever you need, my brother. Gum. 2-3 years, Dagestan. Like it, just all this shit. So he's not bringing that look. He's bringing kind of a crazy guy look out. But I'm picking Khamzat, man. It is what it is. Next up, co-main event of the night. Lerone, the Miracle Murphy. Nothing miraculous about his game, by the way. Versus Aaron Pico. I picked Lerone Murphy on Tuesday. I'm going to pick Lerone Murphy again. Listen, man, Lerone Murphy, bro. Yeah, bro. He's a featherweight me, bro. Yeah. Drives a Mercedes GLE just like me, bro. Listen, man, Lerone Murphy's so boring, but I do think, and I was listening to a couple breakdowns of this fight just to kind of get a read on it. I could see a world where Pico gasses early. I'm stealing this verbatim from a YouTube video I watched, so go look up Murphy versus Pico breakdown. You'll see what I'm saying. I have a feeling that Aaron Pico might go out there and try and just steal the show in the first round. Like, go out there flying. He's going to go out there, throw some crazy shots. He'll probably drop and hurt Lerone Murphy bad. But we've seen Lerone Murphy dropped in fights. In the fight that he had a draw, people don't know why it was a draw. It was because Zubair Tukhugov dropped Lerone Murphy bad and had him in a world of trouble and got a 10-8 on one scorecard. And then you're talking about Dan Ige, who dropped him. No one else has really dropped him, but everyone else has had moments in the striking. Edson Barboza basically put him out cold on an up kick. So this is a guy that can be hurt, and I think will be hurt in this fight. The difference is Pico, I think, as the fight goes on, will be much less dangerous. He carries a lot of muscle mass and is cutting to 145 instead of 155. I think it's worth noting that. I think the gas tank is going to be worse here. Almost like an Alexander Hernandez type, where maybe his gas will be better at 55, but maybe he's more built for 145. It's kind of a tricky thing. I think Murphy wins like a split decision here, or maybe just a razor thin 29-28. But I will say, man, it might be a robbery. Like, look at this thing right here. This is MMAdecisions.com. This is where the media scores all of the fights that go to decision. Um, this was a split decision that Lerone Murphy won 5 fights ago versus Gabriel Santos at UFC 286. Gabriel Santos on I don't even know how many judges. This has to be like 15. Won 13 of the 15 for the media, and one media card gave him a 3-0, which isn't true by the way. I thought Murphy got around, but how does Leroy Murphy get given this fight? He is a terrorist. We know the truth, brother. You're just Leroy Murphy in face paint. That's not the way I meant that. In like a mask. In a mask, not face paint. Not face paint. Cut that out. Cut that. Cut that. I think Leroy Murphy wins, though. I think it's going to be annoying, but I do think he takes this decision. Next up, Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates. Um, Guys, I have an opinion on this fight that's not that popular, that I don't think people are talking about. I don't know if you see the way that Carlos Prates has been talking about this fight online. He's coming off the loss to Ian Gary, Jeff Neal coming off the injury win over RDA, where he hurt him anyways. He was going to win that fight. I think we get a sneaky, boring decision here, guys. I think we get a very similar fight to Ian Gary versus Jeff Neal. I think that Carlos Prates is going to start off with a little bit of pressure, maybe land a good left or two. But he talked about how he realized that winning is more important in the Ian Gary fight, which kind of makes me think that he's going to sit at range with Jeff Neal. Now Jeff Neal is the type of guy where he's a really good counter striker. His 1-2 is incredible. He's fast, powerful. I think Pratos is going to stay out of the way. You know, he's way longer. He should have a big reach and leg reach advantage. I think he's going to throw body kicks, high kicks that kind of hit the guard, low kicks, maybe a couple crosses, but I think it's going to stay pretty routine here. Maybe Pratos gets a finish. Maybe I've been brainwashed by the Ian Gary fight, but I think that in his road to kind of building that momentum back, he's going to have a couple boring fights. And I think we start here, you know. Listen, man, we've all missed watching CP on a Saturday night. We all get excited whenever CP comes on. And I do think it's going to be some boring CP, though. 29-28 decision for the kid. Next up, Michael Venom Page versus Jared Cannonier. The battle of the Unks here. We got 38 and 41. Not the only Unk battle. And some Barbos and Dracar close. But I like the odds here. I really favor MVP in this fight big time. Jared Cannonier has been pretty complacent. That's not the word. I don't know. He's just been complaining a good amount about this matchup. He doesn't understand why this was the fight he was given. The guy doesn't understand he's 41 and about 3 fights outside of the title picture. But yeah, man, I think MVP finishes Jared Cannonier. I predicted finish, decision. I think we get another finish here. I think MVP is going to get his first KO. Jared Cannonier, incredibly chinny. He got dropped. Let's see now. Robocop hurt him bad, dropped him. Borrelio basically KO'd him. Imavov basically KO'd him on the feet. Who did he fight before that? Vittori. He beat the shit out of Vittori. I'll give him that. But that's not really. Vittori's a punching bag. I'm not going to count that. Cannonier gets hurt in almost all of his fights nowadays. And it's just showing he still has the power, obviously, to be able to clip a guy like MVP, so you're always going to run that risk. But, man, it's just a guy that gets hit so much, and in my opinion is just slow for middleweight. MVP is going to be way faster than him. He's going to land big shots. He's definitely going to hurt Jared Cannonier at some point in the fight. I think we get a flying knee here. I think Cannonier plods in. I think he's going to try and bum rush into the clinch, and MVP lands a knee on the way in. And it'll be night-night. I still think the funniest shit ever, by the way, it's wired the picture here. When MVP dented Cyborg Santos's, or is that his name? I have no fucking clue. I mean, it's probably a good guess. When he dented his skull, he runs to the other side, not knowing what he did, and throws a fucking Pokeball at him. Still the funniest shit that I've ever seen inside an octagon, but I digress. We move on. Final fight of the main card, Tim Elliott versus Kaya Sakura. Tim Elliott, uh, this is kind of a tricky fight, you know. But Tim Elliott, coming off the submission win over Sumaderji, I believe like 2 years ago almost. Kaya Sakura coming off a submission loss to Alexandre Pantoja. Now, if you are someone who is riding with Tim Elliott here, I understand it. You see the value, you're like, okay, plus 250, Tim Elliott is a gritty wrestler that can stand, and he's going to shoot chain takedowns. That's his whole game plan. He's a crazy submission threat everywhere. And you look at Asakura's last fight, and you're like, oh, he got taken down a bunch. I get it. The issue to me, and it's the only reason he's plus 250, is that Tim Elliott has been out a long time. If he was much more active and not 38 years old, I would 100% go Tim Elliott. I think you're going to get a very Cody Durden game plan esque fight. You know, like I think that Tim Elliott is going to go out there round one and shoot like 20 takedowns. He'll get Kai Sakura down about 5 of those times. Maybe he'll take the round purely off control, like DC glazing, Joe Rogan, like, wow, Tim Elliott, look at the best he's ever did, man. Um, and then he's going to be gassed by round two. Um, because even guys with great card like gas tanks like Tim Elliott, when they shoot 20 takedowns, it does take something out of you because they're not Marab. Um, and it's almost like an energy dump. You get to the second round, you're like, wow, I did all that work, and they're still there. And Kai Sakura is always going to be explosive and powerful. I don't like him at 125. I'd rather him fight at bantamweight, but I get they need new names. Tim Elliott has been tweeting though about how he's going to lose. Like I keep seeing replies, people are tweeting like, "Please, Tim, like don't lose to this guy." And his replies are like, "I've lost to worse people." Brother, what the fuck is it, bro? What is this guy doing, man? Um, I wouldn't bet on this. I think Kaya Sakura might KO him. Um, but then again, like Tim Elliott's tough. Maybe not a KO. It's tricky. It's a very tricky fight. I would stay away from actually betting on this fight. But prediction wise, I'll go Kaya Sakura. Maybe decision. Next up, King Green versus Diego Ferreira. Um, listen, man, I'm sorry. If you lose for your last 4 fights by being put out cold, unconscious, I am not calling you king anything, brother. That's just not the world we live in. If you are capable of hurting a human being, I'm picking you to beat Bobby Green. You know? Like, if you can hurt a fly, if you can punch a human in the face and they might go unconscious, Bobby Green is going to be an easy fight for you. Because that brother, he can't take a punch, he can't take a kick anymore. He's very tough, but with the hands down, I don't know what his style is going to be this time. He's 38 now. I mean, if he left Michael Johnson like this, he'll leave Bobby Green the same way. You know, like Bobby Green kind of has this fucking this thing going where I don't know, man. Like Bobby Green is trying so hard to be this tough guy in the UFC that everyone likes and respects, bro. But bro, he's just like a YBG Don fucking the Wish from Wish. Hey, my name, YBG YBG Don, but you can call me YBG. Well, I'm not calling you YBG. But yeah, no, we're out on the Bobby Green train. I'll tell you that. Anyways, Gerald Mearshart versus Mikhail Olowachechuk. Very interesting stuff here, man. Um, I do it's just so tricky, man, because you're getting a guy who has 6 submission losses, right? I'm seeing 6 submission losses for Mikhail Olowachechuk, and automatically I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, GM3 is a lot of submissions. Surely he's gonna get Olowachechuk down, and then it's wraps. But GM3 is not the same guy. Like, he does not have great entries. Olowachechuk can defend takedowns, and he can offensively grapple. He did it versus Sharp Bullet. Um, and then you also get a thing where, like, Mikhail Olowachechuk does hit really hard. And I think GM3 cannot eat punches anymore. Like, that's a serious thing to me, is that GM3 cannot eat strikes. And I think that Olowachechuk is maybe going to get taken down round one, maybe lose the round, but he'll either come out guns blazing and finish this dude in genuinely 50 seconds, or Olachechuk gets submitted. I think the best bet on this fight, and I'm going to make a best bets video tomorrow probably, now that I think about it, but KO for Olachechuk or sub by Mearshart, double chance is probably going to have juice. Like, I bet that's minus money. Because I think that's very likely for this outcome. I do not see this going the full 3 rounds. Maybe it does if Mearshart hangs tougher than I think, but I'm going to go Olowachechuk here. It's tricky. He's a funny looking fella, kind of like an elf looking guy. But we're going to take him here, and I think he wins this by finish. Jessica Andrade and Lupe Godinez. I'm not going to claim I did a ton of research on this. Here's what I do know, though. Jessica Andrade is the most useless fighter of all time when she is on her back. When she gets taken down, there's literally nothing she can do. She has no way of getting back up. She's never shown that she can get back up off her back. So I am gonna say that Lupi Godinez wins here. She does look like she would beat the shit out of me. Lupi Godinez looks like she would send you like a girl's Instagram, and she's like, "Oh, who's this bitch?" Like, why do you still follow her? And she just looks a little crazy, like she looks like she'd really be stalking you. And she also had the shits last fight, which was crazy, but it is what it is. We've all gone through that in MMA fight. But yeah, I'll pick Lupi by decision here. Baisungur Susurkayev versus Eric Nolan. I'm not spending any time on this. Baisungur is winning this fight. I watched him on the Contender Series. He was legit. Really confident striker. Very good anti-grappling. Hamzat's main training partner. He's going to get a first round KO here. Maybe second round, but he's got nasty power, man. He cracked Muhammad Tala with a couple of big shots before the liver kind of punt. But he was nasty the whole time. Um, but I think he wins by first round finish here, man. He's just nastier than all these guys. I think he wants it more. Eric Nolan's a 170 or going up to 185 because it's short notice. That spells trouble to me. Any guy that has had to do that has not been successful in my recent memory. So yeah, man. I think that Basinger wins this. The only guy who's really won doing that on short notice is Ilya Taporia, and he's still gassed in the final minute of that Yusuf Zalal fight. So, it's not going to go off Eric Nolan. I think Susurkayev wins easily here. Next up, Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. I won't lie to you guys, man. I almost thought about putting him on the graphic. I am a big Alexander Hernandez fan for reasons I don't even know. I remember when he fought Cowboy, I watched like the YouTube videos that were like when Donald Cerrone humbled his opponents. And Alexander Hernandez was the guy. I fucking loved Alexander Hernandez. His fight style is fun to me. Like great footwork, bounces from southpaw to orthodox, a big power, good low kicks, pretty decent wrestler too. The gas tank has always been an issue for him. It will always continue to be an issue. I think at 145 he struggled to defend takedowns more. Like in the back of my mind, I keep thinking about the Damon Jackson fight, where Damon Jackson was able to hold him down kind of convincingly and Hernandez gassed. Um, I do think at 55 it's going to be much more interesting for him. He's won two fights in a row. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I like Alexander Hernandez a lot. I thought he lost the Kurt Hollabaugh fight. He won the third round, but I think somehow the recency bias literally made them change their scorecards. I think he was controlled for like 4 minutes of round one. Or no, he was hurt in round one bad, and he was somehow given that round by someone. So I don't know about all that. Chase Hooper's coming off the decision win over Jim Miller. I think Chase Hooper wins. Um, Alexander Hernandez is a parlay buster type of guy. He is very skilled. He's just underperformed in his career. I do believe that he does not have enough anti-grappling to be able to kind of withstand the pressure of Chase Hooper. I think Chase Hooper is going to have to be on the front foot, and if that's the case, then he's going to win this fight. That's kind of how I'm looking at this. Um, it's so tricky. I'm going to go Chase Hooper. But by the way, man, this is the same sport. Look at these two athletes here. We have Alistair Overeem, just a physical specimen, and then we have a certified gooner in Chase Hooper. That's got his thumbs up. This kid's 25 years old, and he's probably, he might touch a belt before Alistair Overeem does. That's what's crazy. But, shout out to Chase Hooper. Shout out to Ubereem. Just a crazy world we live in. Next up, Edson Barboza and Drakkar Klose. Kind of crazy to see Edson Barboza on the early prelims. I feel like he's more fun. I don't know why we have to have Andrade and Godinez on the main prelims, but this is on the early prelims. But either way, man, Edson Barboza, he's coming off. I don't know why I have it all wins. By the way, that is not correct. Edson Barboza is coming off a loss to Lerone Murphy. He did have a 2-fight win streak of Sadiq Youssef and Billy Quarantillo before that, where I thought he looked good in both those fights. Edson is still really fast. I think people aren't talking about this enough when they're discussing this fight. They're kind of calling Edson old. He's very fast. The cardio is always going to be an issue with him. But a 3-round fight, he is fine. He does tend to sprint a little more in the 3-round fights and then kind of give away the third. But I do believe here that he is just better than Drakkar Klose. I do not know why the line is this close. I think it's solely because Klose is a capable wrestler. But man, Edson Barboza is better everywhere than Drakkar Klose in terms of physical talent and just being a better MMA fighter. Edson Barboza is the best fighter Drakkar Klose has ever fought. If you're fighting the best fighter you've ever fought at 37, I think that's a problem. So I'm going to go Edson Barboza here. I feel like that's probably the right decision. So yeah, it is what it is. And also, how is this guy not on steroids? There is no way you're going to tell me that these are Brazilian genetics. This guy is a fucking tank of a human being at 39 years old. You're telling me Edson Barboza looks like that naturally? No fucking way. Get the fuck out of here, brother. That is not what you look like off a cycle. It is what it is, though. Next up, Nursultan Ruzaboa versus Brian Battle. Um, this is an interesting one, man, and I'm going to give a take here that I've seen some people make. Well, okay, Rusaboyev is coming off the win versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Kind of a weird fight where he didn't look that good, couldn't hurt him on the feet. And Stoltzfus is very capable off his back and on the ground, so you're in a kind of a world of trouble. A couple bad decisions by Stoltzfus ended up throwing away the fight, but it is what it is. Brian Battle coming off a quote air quotes win versus Randy Brown. He just held him against the cage. I think a lot of people felt that Randy Brown won that fight. But Battle hasn't lost since his Rinat Fakhretdinov fight, so very interesting at least. I believe personally that the odds are completely flipped in this fight. I think that Ruzaboev should be the favorite here. I know that it's at 185 and Battle won't be as drained. He actually was more of a finisher at 85 than he was at 70. I like him more at 70. I think frame wise, it's a bad idea for him to fight a guy who's 6'5". Battle's gonna have to try and get to the inside. I don't think Ruzaboev's gonna let him. Battle got hurt bad in the Randy Brown fight. I don't think people are talking about that enough. That was why he had to clinch a bunch. So it's worth noting. We'll see what happens. I could see Ruzaboev finish, but I could also see a decision here. So could be interesting. I feel like fight goes the distance. Has some. It's gonna be sweaty, but I think that has some value to it. We're gonna go Nursultan Ruzaboev. I think he should be the favorite here. Next up, and guys, I want to be clear about this, by the way. There are two other fights on this card. There are the Ultimate Fighter fights. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you that I watch the Ultimate Fighter. I'm not going to sit here and act like I can really give a breakdown on the Ultimate Fighter fights. I know nothing about them. I'm not going to spend the time researching them or predicting things. So we're going to call this the final fight, which is the final kind of normal UFC fight on the card. Carini Silva, there are a lot of other channels that have done it. I don't want to lie to you guys. Carini Silva versus Deone Barboza. Carini Silva coming off the loss to Viviane Araújo at, I believe, UFC 309 in November. I might be wrong about that. And Deone Barboza is coming off a submission win in the first round over Diana Belbita. I mean, everyone had her pinned. She was minus money to submit Diona Belbita in round one, which is nuts. Belbita's terrible. I guess that's why. But the odds here are interesting. Barboza is an interesting underdog. However, I am not going to pick her. I do recommend that people consider taking Barboza. I'm going to take Carini Silva to be safe here. I think that her grappling is going to be a little too much for Barboza. I think Barboza's been held down at length before. And while she does have good reversals and sweeps, I just think that Silva's going to be a little too much on the ground. It is worth the fight going the distance, in my opinion, even though Silva is a finisher. When she loses decisions. I think that's going to be the case here if she loses. I'm going to take Carini Silva to win a split decision here. Women's MMA style. It's one of those things. I think I spelled Barboza wrong, by the way, so sorry about that. But yeah, I'm going to go with Carini Silva here, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. If it's wrong, then pretend I never said it, and pretend I said that Deone Barboza won. But it is what it is. Anyways, that'll do it for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. Another day, another prediction video on the channel. I'm really excited for this card. I don't know specifically what video I'll drop tomorrow. Might be best bets. Might be some nonsense that I come up with in the car at some point. But yeah, guys, don't forget, place your parlays. Make that $1,000,000. You're one win away from generational wealth. This has been a Money Manziel MMA production. Like, comment, and subscribe down below. I'll see you boys in the next one. And that is it, man. Peace out, boys.